Have you ever thought about strategic budgeting? And when you now think, oh, please, no, not the financial stuff. I can tell you it's way more fascinating than you think. We have an expert on the matter with us here today. Hello and welcome, Ron Cox.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Great to have you here. When many people hear about budgeting, they often think, "Oh, come on, can we just keep the numbers to the side? This is just admin work someone has to do, but I don't really want to be in touch with you or with anyone connected to that kind of topic." How do you see strategic budgeting today? When many people say, "My daily schedule is so full, please don't come up with another budgeting task for me."
That's a great question. I'll tell you, for me, it really started, I'd say 30 plus years ago, and I changed my mindset. I worked for a not-for-profit as a volunteer. I quickly ascended to the president's role. And
Hmm.
then parallel processes, I was working with municipality, fastest growing community in the whole state, and we could not deficit spend. So the fact that you don't have a credit card mentality, the fact is you can pay for it later, that just didn't exist. And so
Hmm.
it changed my mindset moving forward. And it really caused me to sit back personally and professionally and say, if we have such a finite or a limited amount of access to funds, we have to be extremely diligent, extremely creative. And it's not just about spreadsheets and accounting, it's about attitude, aptitude, and getting the right person.
Mm. So this no credit card mentality, would you say that this was the defining aspect of your career that best illustrates the power of strategic budgeting?
Oh, absolutely. When you know that you don't have the long runway, that you
Mm,
have a very short runway, and you have a high probability that if you don't succeed, you won't exist. I think that's exactly the mindset.
absolutely. So how do you approach people who define strategic budget innovation? Because of course, when I prepared for this and I asked people about what do you think of strategic budgets or strategic budgeting, many people said, oh, strategic budget innovation, that's cost cutting. So they approach budget innovation by we need to cut costs on staffing, need to cut costs on procurement, need to cut costs on energy, need to cut costs on travel. So you basically look at something, put a focus on there, and after that, you spend less on this. What's your take on that approach?
I don't necessarily agree with that approach because what I think strategic budgeting is, it's all encompassing. And for me, my mindset is, and I adopted this, is saving money is making money. So if I'm
Hmm.
saving money to make money, that money made goes back into creating and expanding existing programs and delivering them to people in a better format. I can give you an example. For me, we looked at a school district. We looked at a public school district, 150 units of transportation. It was 360 probably a gallon or diesel gallon
Yeah.
equivalent to operate. Well, the equipment was aging, the fuel prices were rising. So from an operational or strategic budgeting standpoint, we said we've got to cut costs. And so what we did was we found an alternative fuel source. Of course, a lot of people loved it because we embraced going green. Teaches kids a great thing. So we went from 360, 380 a gallon of operational cost down to basically compressed natural gas at 40 cents a gallon, and it
Wow.
got you the same distance for the same diesel gallon equivalent. And then we made an application to the government and we said, hey, we want to raise our hand. We want to be first in line. We want to go green. We want to save the world, save the planet, and we want to operate better. And they said, great, here's a grant. Go buy the equipment. So some people might say, well, the equipment costs more. So did you figure that in the cost savings? And the reality is the equipment was practically paid for me.
Mm. Excellent. So, what kind of mindset shift? Because many people might have heard something like, oh, we need to innovate here, we need to innovate there. But what is the mindset shift that you think leaders need to go from this reactive budgeting of, oh, we have to save costs here and just cut something to this more growth focused strategic budgeting approach? Because, especially in larger organizations, there's a strong focus on we always did it that way.
Ah, man, you hit a nerve with me on that one.
Hmm.
I've seen so many failed plans in the boardroom because people show up and they have that mindset, this is based on my experience. This is based on what I did. And my response is yes, but I also have indoor plumbing now. So I have to evolve and create, and take advantage of technology advancements. And so for me, I get those people in that room. We have that conversation and we say, the 1985 model of management is not going to work. command and control doesn't exist with this young workforce. So if
Mm.
you want to have the best opportunity for success, you want a multi-gender or gender and generational workforce to come up with the best new alternatives, then you better have an environment in that boardroom that it not only creates it, it encourages it.
Mm, excellent. And when you now say you just talked about younger workforce and engagement, let's talk about team engagement. When I talk to people regarding this topic, most people told me I am actually happy when leaders don't come up with budgeting because as soon as they come up and they say we need to engage, what they really mean is you need to do the same with less. And often people say this is why we don't engage. So leaders told me I don't engage with my team because as soon as I engage with them regarding budgeting, they think, oh, someone's just coming along and they actually want us to do the same with less money available. So how can leaders engage with their teams that budgeting actually becomes a tool for growth and not just a meeting of fear where anyone just says, take it, take it, take it. I need to get as much out of it as I can to keep my accounts and my department running while I don't care about anyone else.
To change that mindset, you need engagement. And to get engagement, you got to get the stakeholders involved. What I found is the people closest to the work are the people who know where the waste is. So
Mm,
I encourage everyone, not just a title, but a person to come in and share openly. And I give them permission. Where are we? Why are we this way? How can we be better? And not only that, it's the delivery of that good or service. We have to ask that client, how can we do a better job? How can we retain? How can we save us time and you money? And so the collaboration has to be in that room and everyone has to be heard. Everyone has to have a voice. We use tools and templates from simple surveys. How are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? What have I done? How could I improve? And I not only ask our team that, but I ask our clients that. And so
hmm
that mindset is being inclusive and engaging. And you can't sit back and say, again, what you just said, you can't go backwards and say, this is what we've always done, because it's
mm.
not going to ensure success moving forward.
Excellent. So, would you say that now leaders have to go, let's say, beyond titles and not say, oh, I am a leader, so I approach the department lead, and the department lead then talks to their people, and then it gets back the whole ladder. So you would say, don't care about titles, speak to people directly, no matter where they are on the whole ladder of hierarchy in companies?
Absolutely. And they got to understand that they're going to add value. And the value is going to be through change. They can become a change agent themselves, or they can be the voice of a change agent for a department, a team, a client, and they bring that forward.
Mm, excellent. So when we now talk about budgeting, because one thing I found very striking, which I have to ask, and I hope you're willing to share it. Many people said, oh, you talked to an expert about budgeting. So who is it? Harvard, Princeton, Yale, rich family, one of these blokes again telling the world how things work. I saw that you have a pretty impressive career in your life built by yourself. Are you willing to share something about that, where you're coming from and where you made it to?
Do you want me to start
Go for it.
with who has inspired and taught me?
Yes, go for it.
And so the mentality was you got to have the right person. Forget operational excellence, because once we get that right person, right mindset, always taught me when I was partnering with him back. Basically, it's these habits. It can change the progress. It can change the pathway we want to be because technology, it seems like big rocks. So a big rock is a direction. It's where you want to go. To define the big rock is what matters most. And once you get there, you back up and you say, what's the cleanest, clearest pathway to get there with the least amount of disruptions to others, but it's also the most efficient way to use of our limited resources.
Mm.
So that was great training for me. And then later in life, I actually went into EOS, which is a different tool out there, and a lot of people can customize it for their own need. But I went into the EOS and I said, okay, now that I got the right person, I want to ensure operational excellence. So I got the right operating system and the right person driving the train, and magic happened.
Yeah, excellent. Very, very good. When now someone would ask you, let's just pick just one piece of advice. If someone said you can give one piece of advice, what to optimize regarding budgeting, as the second last question in this interview here, what is the top number one advice you would give someone when you could only pick one regarding better budgeting today?
My number one thing is to make sure that your big rock is clearly defined, and so that you aren't wasting time in exploration and trials and tribulations to all of those things. So clearly define the big rock. That's my one thing. And so once you see it, then you will be able to best manage those limited resources to get there. So have a pathway out front. Didn't say anything about money. Nothing. Let's get there and then we'll figure the rest out and see if that's reasonable because I have the right resources.
Excellent. When now someone says, hey, I think Ron could be really helpful either to speak at our conference or coach us or help us in any other way. Of course, as the final question of this interview, I have to ask, how can people reach out? Get in touch
Best
with you?
way, the best way to get ahead of me or to get a hold of me, I should say, is you can simply just you can find Ron.Cox at kcnllc.com. I'm giving that to you. That's my personal email. So just reach out to me and I'd love to have a conversation. And I'm still a lifelong learner myself. There's perhaps things I can learn. I learned some stuff from you today as well, and I'm proud of that, and I appreciate that.
Perfect. I think these are the perfect final words. We see budgeting is way more than just cost cutting and strategic budgeting. Ron is the person to go to. So at the end of the interview, there's only one thing left for me to say. Ron, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.